This week's episode, we are going to be continuing the series all about tax write-offs and talking about two specific categories that your expenses may fall into. So, if you have been part of this series and want to continue to learn about all of those different categories, stay tuned for this episode. Hi, I'm Heather, and I am a wedding and senior photographer, and on this channel, I help other photographers manage and understand their taxes as a small business owner, streamline their system so that they can save more time with family and friends, and I also love to give you a sneak peek into my life here and there. Now, as I mentioned, we are going to be continuing the series all about tax write-off and jump into two specific categories that your expenses may fall into. Now, before we get there, I do want to let you know that down in the description, I have a freebie of the 15 most common tax categories that your expenses may fall into, which would be a perfect thing to download to follow along with this series of YouTube videos. So go ahead and grab that and add notes as we talk about the different topics throughout these coming weeks. So this week we are going to be diving into advertising and marketing as the first category, and then meals as the second category. So let's dive in. All right. Advertising and marketing seems very explanatory, but I want to explain the different types of expenses that may fall under this category. First off, your expenses that would fall under this category are any ones that help promote your business. They're the costs that help market your products or your business or your services. So those can be things such as your business cards, any ads that you might be paying for, whether it is a billboard or in a newspaper or something online, such as a social media ad. Any of those types of ads would fall under this category as well. In addition, if you would be on a commercial or have any airtime on the radio, those would fall under this category as well. And then lastly, anything that has to do with branding your business, such as getting branding photos or your logo, or having someone design your website for you. Those are all different marketing expenses that would fall under this category. So make sure that whenever you have an expense for this, you want to jot down that it's for advertising and marketing, and so that you are able to correctly categorize those expenses. There are probably a good amount of expenses that are going to fall under this category from year to year because you're constantly marketing yourself, whether it's creating new photos as a photographer to go onto your website, so you do a shoot for that, or it's getting new branding photos so that you can show yourself and show your personality in your website or on social media. There's so many different avenues that can fall under marketing. But as long as it is promoting your business and helping to market your product or service, they would fall under this category. Now, the next category we are going to dive into on this week's episode is meals. And there's a little bit more of a stipulation on these types of expenses. But first, let's just go over what a meal expense is when it comes to your business write-offs. These expenses are any type of meal that has to do specifically with some sort of business interaction, whether it's having a meeting with a client or a meeting with another team member or other business, and then other conferences or educational retreats that you may be going to. If there is a meal that you need to purchase, those would fall under this expense category as well. The big thing is just making sure that the only reason you are having this meal is because of some sort of business transaction or interaction, and you're not just having a meal just because and you want to write it off under your business expenses. That doesn't work. So just make sure that you can prove that it was for a business interaction. So my tip would be on the receipt that you get to then write down what that business meeting was about that you had over the meal. Just in case you would get audited, you can prove to them where you went to eat, how much it was, and then what you went there for. Because if for some reason you would get audited in 2 years and they would ask about that, there could be a really good chance that you don't remember what you were doing or why you had that business meeting. So make sure to just make a little note about it so that you are covering yourself for future situations that may come up. The other stipulation about meal expenses is that only 50% of the total expenses that you accumulate throughout the year actually go towards the tax write-off. So just make sure when you're sending that number to your accountant, you're letting them know that that is the number before the 50% is taken out so that they can then do the 50% calculation when they're filing your taxes. You just want to make sure that you didn't do the 50% total and send that to them and then they also did 50% off of that amount, and then really you're only getting a write-off for 25% of those expenses. So just something to clarify with your accountant so that they are filing those taxes correctly or those expenses correctly for your taxes. So those are the 2 expense categories that we are going to be talking about this week. I hope you found that helpful and were able to add some notes to the freebie that is down in the description. If you haven't grabbed that yet, go down there and get a hold of it and add any other additional notes that you may want to remember from this series. Now, next week I'm going to come out with the next 2 categories for tax expenses. But in the meantime, I would love to know if you have any questions, so drop them down in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe to this for more videos to come. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.